Okay, so now we are live. Welcome to the Avrysports YouTube channel, and welcome to our post CFL presser with CFL Commissioner Stewart Johnston, going over massive changes to the CFL coming in 2026 and 2027. Some changes people love, some changes people clearly are not a fan of, but either way want to get to some of them, get into them, the good, the bad, try and answer some of your questions. I know people will have comments and questions going forward, but to me, what that was interesting was off the top is that, hey, this was not insignificant. It's not a presser that was going to be about small rules. It was not overhyped. It was not hyperbole. There are major changes coming to the CFL in the next year and 2 years, and I thought there was some interesting comments from Commissioner Stewart Johnston when it came to what he said during the Q&A session, because there's a few rules that may not still be here after 2027, or there may be further changes in 2028, 2029 that the commissioner was not exactly committed on when it came to major things. So I think, first of all, you can get into the fact that off the top, as of 2027, the goalposts in the CFL are going to be moving back to the back of the end zone. And the commissioner cited immediately being the goalposts obstructing broadcast views, fan views, and getting into injury concerns on players who might run into the goalposts, which isn't that common. But he did make a good point in that how I do think that, yes, there is a little bit of validity to the fact that you do remove the middle of the end zone because offenses won't run there. A route will not run through the middle because you're at risk of a player running to the goalpost or the ball hitting the goalpost and being ruled a dead ball and that being incomplete pass. So I do get that from that standpoint. So there is some validity. I can't sit here and say, oh, it's a bad decision, because yes, there was some validity to what Commissioner Johnston was saying in that, but it isn't a thing where the goalposts affect every single drive. So that's interesting. The goalposts do go back, and as a result of that, you're not going to see the end zones shrink to 15 yards from 20. And here's the thing: the CFL end zones have actually changed quite a bit over the years. Many years ago, the end zones were 25 yards. In the mid-'80s, they changed to 20. So now they're going to shrink again to 15, which is still the largest among all pro football in North America. They're still the largest end zones in football. So they're not going down to NFL size, but they are dropping down by 5 more yards, with the goalposts now on the back of the end zone coming in place for 2027. So that was one that right off the top, Stewart Johnston immediately opened the presser, and boom, we got into some massive changes going forward into 2027. And then there'll be some things coming in next year for 2026. A few of those, that being the benches, will, as of next year, be on the opposite side. And I get that. That makes sense. That should be a thing that should have been done many years ago when it came to substitutions, and also when it comes to just avoiding confrontation easily, because we saw that happening in BMO Field. It can happen in certain stadiums where you're on the same side. You can have teams running in the same side. So I get that. That to me is not a big thing to worry about. That should have happened a long time ago, having opposite side benches, because most CFL stadiums have that. That should have been handled many years ago. So I'm cool on that. The play clock will now be automatically set to 35 seconds in between plays. No more manually resetting it to 20 seconds, which rightfully was brought up. That could see offenses trying to abuse that, but that's the thing where I got to see how it's going to play out in my mind. I got to see it, first of all, play out when it comes to the execution next season. So that to me is the thing that I want to see in action next year. Going back to the 2027 changes, and now the field is going to shrink. The width will stay the same, but the actual length is going to drop down to 100 yards as opposed to 110, which now you're taking out the fact that you're not going to have, and we'll get to the Rouge in a second, but you're not going to have, so like certain records are now going to be stuck. Certain records, like the Bashar Livingston long return, those records of the super long kick return records, those are now going to eternally stay. Some records will not be able to be broken anymore with the field going to 100 yards. And that kind of sucks because it was cool seeing guys return a kick for a touchdown 125 or 120 yards. That was cool. That's not going to be a thing anymore, which, you know what? It is what it is, but we got to live with that one. And the 55-yard line is now going to be gone with the field getting shorter. And I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to, what Stewart Johnston said himself, you're trying to encourage more touchdowns, less field goals, more aggressive offenses. And that should be a good thing. But again, these will be things in which I want to see how it works in theory, in practice, come 2027. I want to see how this is going to work and if it actually will bring an increase in actual touchdowns as opposed to field goals, because we've seen that CFL offenses can be at times very conservative. So if it creates more gambles, cool. I think it would be fun to see, but let's see how it shakes up. And now for next year, again, the next big rule for next year is that the Rouge is not going away, but the Rouge is going to be altered to an extent. So there'll be no more, if you miss a field goal and the ball goes through the end zone, a point. You can't just punt the ball through the end zone anymore to get a point. The ball has to be downed in the end zone to get the 1 point. Stewart Johnston said you have to commit an action. The Rouge will now always be an action play to get the point. You have to trap the team you have to trap the return team in the end zone to get a point, or the return man has to concede the point. The return team has to partake in the play for the kicking team to get that point. And here's my thing. What I didn't like about during the presser or during the league's video that he played was the idea that the Rouge was only on a play of failure, or that it was a failure play, or that it was a play rewarding. They were trying to pin the Rouge entirely as a play of the offense failed to get 3 or 6, so he settled for 1. And I mean, yes, every team goes out in large part trying to get 6 points. But when you're punting for the Rouge, that is the offense saying, you couldn't prevent us from getting this deep into your territory, so now we're going to punt to get the point, or we're doing that. It's seen as the team is still being rewarded for getting the ball deep into the opposition territory. It's not solely we couldn't get a field goal or we couldn't get a touchdown. So I think phrasing it only as you failed to get 3 or 6, I don't like. I don't like that terminology of emphasizing the punting it through or the missed field goal it's a failure play. Not entirely. That's not how I see it as, and that's how I don't like when it's phrased that way, as you failed entirely. But hey, the Rouge is still going to be there. I'm glad you're not eliminating the Rouge entirely. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because the league is trying to say we want to put more emphasis on coffin corner punts and strategy and encouraging more returns than simply booting it through the end zone or rewarding, as they said, failure. So interesting to see on that front. And then going down to the question and answer period with Stewart Johnston. Stewart Johnston talked about how, in answering some of the questions, our boy Matthew Shinetti brought up and Justin Dunk, they had great questions. One of the questions these guys asked was, would the CFL go down to 4-down football, or is the CFL going to remain a 3-down league? Now, I think what had me concerned, what had many concerned, was that Stewart Johnston didn't come out and outright say that the CFL is always going to be a 3-down league. He didn't come out and say, no, this is a 3-down league. Canadian football is 3 downs. He basically implied that we will look at other rules, where we will look after 2027 how to further evolve the game, or how the game could get better. Basically, how I saw this paraphrase was, if the CFL could be improved by going to 4 downs, we would think about that. I don't want that. I know Rod Pearson had mentioned on Twitter that the CFL is going to be more Americanized. There are certain things in the CFL that should always be in the chart of the CFL. To me, the Rouge and being a 3-down league. Don't cater too much to people who would never turn on the CFL no matter what you do. That's what I don't think you should do. Don't try to break your neck going to people who would never ever turn on a CFL game and who would say, oh, if I wanted to watch a 4-down game, I'll just watch NFL. I mean, yes, alter some things if you have to. Move forward to evolve your sport. Everything evolves. But don't kill don't kill what you are to care to those who don't like you no matter what you try. I don't like that approach at all. Tinker. Alter some things, sure. But don't strip away what makes the CFL special entirely. So, that's how I see it as. Yeah, change a few things here and there, sure. But don't become NFL Canada. And again, I got to see how some of these rules are going to work in practice. I got to see how this is going to look. But yeah, I am glad that today wasn't total, we're going to be NFL Junior, or going to be NFL Light, or NFL Canada. But either way, this was a day in which the rules announced, it was significant. It wasn't minute changes to the CFL. These are going to be big. Gameplay will be impacted in the coming years by these changes. You're going to see, I mean, and literally, things are going to look different as of 2027 with the shorter field, with the goalposts going to the back of the end zone. Some will like it, some will hate it. But as long as you don't say, oh, we're now a rougeless league, or now a 4-down league, because I could just watch the NFL, or most people could just watch the NFL if you're going to just totally try to be, or if you say there's no more ratio. People don't want that. People want a league that is, to an extent, different than what they can have down in America. So, an interesting presser in my mind, and it's clear that Stewart Johnston wants to put his own stamp on the CFL going forward. He wants to say, hey, this is a new league or an evolving league, and this is my twist on how I see the CFL and what I need to do to make it better. So now I do want to see if this will drive forward younger fans getting involved in the CFL, or newer fans, because to me that's still a big thing for Stewart Johnston, is next up or concurrently with these rules, how do we get younger fans in the building to watch CFL? How do we get more diverse fans interested in the CFL? So these will be interesting things going forward when it comes to how the CFL evolves in 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, and even in 2030, 2040, 2050. So an interesting press conference nonetheless from Stewart Johnston at Hotel X in downtown Toronto. Anyways, if you have any thoughts, comments, if not on the stream, hit me up on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram. Let me know. My name is Avry, the host of Avry Sports Show, and we do stuff for Avrysports.com, hockey news, and other platforms. Other than that,